Here's a fun fact. Bender wasn't just programmed to steal. He was literally manufactured for it. His full name is Bender Bending Rodriguez, and he was born in Tijuana, Mexico, with one mission: to bend things. And by things, we mean everything from girders to bank vaults to basic laws of morality. If something isn't nailed down, gone. If it is nailed down, he'll steal the nails too. From episode 1, Bender makes it painfully obvious he's a kleptomaniac with zero guilt. In fact, he straight up brags about it. I'm 40% zinc and 100% criminal. Okay, he didn't say that exactly, but let's be real. He would. Let's take a look at just how built-in this behavior is. In the very first season, Bender gets caught trying to rob a suicide booth. Not use it, rob it. How do you even rob something that's designed to kill you for a quarter? That's Bender logic. Every episode is a new crime scene. Over the course of Futurama, Bender has stolen cash registers, tip jars, jewelry off people's necks, cigars from every species in the galaxy, sacred alien artifacts, entire space shuttles, the entire planet of Earth. Yes, he once tried to sell Earth to aliens and almost succeeded. And he never just steals. He makes it part of his personality. He drinks, he smokes, he gambles, and then he walks off with your TV. The only thing Bender hasn't stolen is a break. The robot never rests. A theft every 5 minutes. Now let's talk stats. On average, Bender steals at least one item per episode. With 140 plus episodes of Futurama, that's a minimum of 140 crimes, and that's being generous. The real number is way higher once you factor in multi-theft episodes, like robbing multiple casinos in one scene, off-screen heists he brags about, time travel crimes, which technically count infinite times, team-ups with criminals like Flexo or the Robot Mafia. If we conservatively say Bender averages $5,000 per episode in stolen goods, some episodes it's literal bags of cash, others just forks, that's already 700,000 plus. And we haven't even touched the big-ticket jobs yet. He's not just a thief, he's a repeat offender. The most dangerous thing about Bender? He doesn't just steal, he keeps stealing and bragging about it. There's no rehabilitation here. Give him a second chance and he'll take your wallet, your watch, and your planet. If you've ever stolen a piece of gum from a store as a kid, shame on you. But hey, it's small time. Bender doesn't do small time. In the episode A Pharaoh to Remember, Season 3, Episode 17, our favorite criminal robot goes from pouting about being ignored to becoming the literal god king of an alien civilization, building a mountain-sized statue of himself and draining the entire planet's resources in the process. It starts off classic Bender. He's upset nobody appreciates his greatness, so he fakes his own death just to watch people mourn. Spoiler alert, no one does. Crushed by the lack of tears, he does what he always does when he's upset. He flies into space and starts robbing people. That's when things escalate. Fast. Pharaoh? Nope. Just a kleptomaniac with a crown. The Planet Express crew ends up on the planet Osiris 4, where, due to a mix-up and some sheer bad luck for the locals, Bender is crowned as their next pharaoh. Now, if you're expecting him to humbly decline and say, "I'm not worthy," you clearly don't know Bender. He accepts instantly, declares himself divine, and begins looting the planet dry. He orders them to build him a pyramid. Not just any pyramid, but one made of gold, outfitted with lasers, cooling systems, and enough ego to blot out the sun. He demands statues of himself pointing at other statues of himself, which are pointing at even more statues of himself. Everything on the planet becomes a resource for Bender's legacy project: the ore, the energy, the labor force. He robs them blind and calls it art. What did it cost? To compare, a single Egyptian pyramid in today's money costs about $5 billion to build. Bender's pyramid? It's the Deluxe Galactic Edition. Think laser-guided, turbo-cooled, high-def narcissism carved into stone. Even being conservative, his monument easily runs up to 12 billion Osiris bucks, or roughly 3 billion USD. And let's not forget, he paid none of it. It all came from the pockets, blood, and sweat of the people he ruled over. For like 2 days. And all of this? In one episode. That's the wild part. All of this happens in a single episode. This isn't a heist. It's a cultural robbery. Bender managed to steal political power, steal physical resources, steal religious identity, and even rob the concept of legacy from a whole civilization. If Bender ever had a motto, it wouldn't be work hard or play fair. It would be something more along the lines of, why pay when you can scam? In this part, we dive into the many times Bender has straight up looted the galaxy's financial institutions, from casinos to credit scams to get-rich-quick schemes that somehow only make him rich. Let's start with casinos, because that's where Bender truly comes alive, and where banks go to die. Bender versus the casino, House always loses. In the episode Viva Mars Vegas, Season 7, Episode 12, Bender helps rob the Wong family casino on Mars. But here's the twist. He doesn't just crack the vault. No, that would be too normal. He stages an Ocean's 11-style caper to steal back the money the robot mafia extorted from the Planet Express crew, plus a few million more, for emotional damages, obviously. Let's break it down. The average high roller vault in Vegas holds upwards of $10 million. But this is Mars Vegas, and the Wongs are trillionaire landowners. Bender easily walks away with 25 million plus in untraceable chips and Martian currency. And that's not even the first time he's cleaned out a casino. In the episode The Honking, Season 3, Episode 1, Bender finds himself cursed as a workar. But before that, he's caught trying to cheat at poker using a rigged dealing arm and a hidden mirror. Security kicks him out, but not before he pockets thousands. Conclusion: Bender doesn't just gamble. He rigs the odds. And if that fails, he robs the place blind. Credit fraud? He invented it. In the episode Bender Should Not Be Allowed on TV, Season 4, Episode 6, Bender becomes a celebrity. And like any overnight star, he abuses his fame to rack up tens of thousands in merch, luxury items, and bling, all charged to a company tab he never intended to pay off. At one point, he says the line, "If you're not rich and famous, you're doing it wrong." And boy, does he mean it. According to a rough breakdown of his spending montage, solid gold chain, $4,500. Robot-sized tuxedos, $2,000. Diamond-encrusted cigars, $1,200 each. Hot tub filled with motor oil, $10,000. Acting lessons from Calculon, that he never took, $7,000. Total estimate, $50,000 plus in fraudulent charges in a single afternoon. Intergalactic pyramid schemes and investment fraud. In A Fishful of Dollars, Season 1, Episode 6, Bender watches as Fry becomes a billionaire and, naturally, wants a slice of the pie. How does he get it? He steals Fry's personal ATM card and begins making withdrawal after withdrawal, posing as Mr. Frylock, and even investing in shady stocks on Fry's behalf. At one point, he buys 600 pairs of pants, for no reason. While Fry's net worth drops from $4.3 billion to literal cents, Bender spends like there's no tomorrow. Experts estimate 150 million plus in damage, much of which ends up as gold plating inside Bender's body, or traded for illegal cigars. The bottom line? He's a financial black hole. Wherever Bender goes, money disappears. He scams, cheats, lies, robs, and shrugs it all off like it's just part of his charm. The scary part? He never needs the money. He doesn't eat human food, pay rent, or support a family. He does it all for the thrill, and maybe the cigars. You'd think the limits of theft would stop at a bank vault, maybe a casino if you're ambitious. But Bender doesn't just rob the present, he robs time itself. With the help of time machines, wormholes, and the occasional accidental paradox, Bender's kleptomaniac reach spans millennia. If it existed, exists, or will exist, chances are he's already stolen it. Let's start with one of Bender's most absurd and honestly brilliant robberies. Looting history's greatest treasures without ever leaving his recliner. The time code. Caper. Stealing from every century. In Bender's Big Score, Bender is forced by time-traveling scammers to use a secret tattooed time code on Fry's butt. Yes, really, to bounce through time and steal valuable artifacts from every major historical period. Some of his confirmed hauls include the Mona Lisa, yep, just swiped it off the wall. The Declaration of Independence, take that Nicolas Cage. The Crown Jewels of England, Julius Caesar's laurel wreath. The original Rosetta Stone, Cleopatra's earrings, Napoleon's hat, which he wears unironically. We're talking trillions in stolen cultural value. Not to mention the absolutely incalculable historical damage done by removing these items from their timelines. The Smithsonian would have a heart attack just reading this paragraph. And what does Bender do with these treasures? Sells them on eBay in the future. Or worse, uses them as doorstops, table coasters, or pawn shop trade-ins for cigars. He's not just a thief, he's a chrono-criminal. The kicker here is that Bender doesn't steal to preserve history or understand the past. He's not Indiana Jones. He's not even Carmen Sandiego. He's just a greedy robot with a time machine and zero shame. He uses time travel like a personal ATM. Need cash? Rob Lincoln. Need gold? Melt down Aztec artifacts. Need a new look? Steal George Washington's wig. This is the kind of guy who would pickpocket Albert Einstein and use the cash to buy a bootleg DVD of Futurama. The financial fallout? Catastrophic. If you try to calculate the black market value of everything Bender looted across time, it easily exceeds $10 trillion. And that's a conservative estimate. Not only did he empty museums before they were even built, but he also devalued the items he didn't sell by creating time loops and copies. In short, Bender didn't just steal priceless items, he made them worthless by flooding the future with them. Think about it. If there are 5 Mona Lisas floating around because Bender kept relooting the same timeline, art collectors will riot. Episode The Farnsworth Parabox. Bender steals from himself. In this episode, Professor Farnsworth creates a box that holds an alternate universe. So what does Bender do the moment he ends up there? Nope. He doesn't observe, doesn't explore, he starts stealing. In that universe, there's also a Bender. Just as cynical, just as greedy. But instead of clashing, they team up. 2 Benders join forces to rob both universes, twice as fast and twice as efficiently. They raid their alternate co-workers' apartments, rob their own parallel selves, and even try to steal a vault straight off the Planet Express ship. This isn't just theft. This is an interdimensional organized crime syndicate, run by 2 versions of the same robot. Copies, clones, and infinite Benders. Bender has repeatedly created or encountered alternate versions of himself. In the episode Benderama, he duplicates himself endlessly into smaller and smaller versions, each just as greedy and annoying. It becomes a literal pyramid scheme of crime, where every Bender clone steals random junk, harasses strangers, destroys private property, and of course steals socks? Yes, really? The collective damage caused by all these Benders is in the hundreds of billions, not even counting the existential threat they cause. At one point, the world literally starts to fall apart from their stupidity. What does he steal in other universes? Everything. Literally. Here's a quick list of things Bender, or alternate Benders, have stolen from parallel worlds. All the alcohol from an alternate Earth. Ships, including his own doppelgangers. Technology not yet invented in his universe. Rare artifacts from other civilizations. And yes, even an alternate version of Fry's wife. Financial damage? Let's talk numbers. How do you calculate losses across the multiverse? Technically, you can't. Practically? Let's give it a shot. If each parallel Earth has a GDP of around $100 trillion, and Bender causes just 0.01% damage in 50 of them, that's already $500 billion in cross-dimensional theft. And that's not even counting cultural losses or timeline destruction. Ordinary thieves steal for profit. Legendary thieves steal for art. Bender, he steals even when he's literally a god. Because as he once so eloquently put it, I'm a god. Worship me and bring booze. In this part, we'll explore how even divine status doesn't stop Bender from being the same cigar-chomping kleptomaniac robot, and how he somehow manages to steal even when theft should be impossible. Ah, Godfellas. Bender becomes a deity, a petty greedy one. In one of Futurama's most iconic episodes, Godfellas, Season 3, Episode 20, Bender gets flung into deep space, where a microscopic civilization settles on his body. And what does he do first? He taxes them. Yep, he instantly declares himself their god and starts collecting voluntary offerings, which go toward heating his internal oil systems, stocking up on cigars, refueling his internal minibar. He literally taxes a microscopic society, forcing them to build temples in his name and make sacrifices, all so he can feel powerful and slightly tipsy. One of their philosophers even says, "Our economy collapsed when God demanded 30% of our tobacco crops." And yes, this is canon, trying to steal energy from the real God. Later in the episode, Bender encounters what may be the actual God, or at least a vast galactic consciousness. You'd think he might act humbly for once. Nope, he tries to siphon power from the divine entity to use as a generator. He literally suggests plugging into the god's mind to see if he can draw a little juice. This isn't just stealing objects, it's trying to steal the essence of divinity. Bender being Bender, he sees godhood and thinks, neat, I wonder if I can resell it. He robbed an entire religion. Remember when Bender joined the Church of Robotology? He got baptized, swore off sin, even underwent an exorcism. And then, within 2 days, robbed the church blind. In Hell is Other Robots, Season 1, Episode 9, Bender becomes devout, until he hacks open the donation box, steals the Golden Communion chalice, and escapes through a vent while yelling, "I'm bad again, baby." How much is divine theft worth? It's tricky to assign a dollar value to robbing a micro-civilization, but if they have agriculture, construction, and trade, they've got an economy. And if Bender taxed their GDP by 30%, he probably skimmed off the equivalent of $5 to $10 million just while being their god. Add to that his thefts from the Church of Robotology, his attempts to rob a cosmic being, and his general divine-level heists, and we're easily talking tens of millions more, based on space religion inflation. Bottom line, if Bender finds a donation jar, it's already empty. Bender isn't just a thief. Theft is his belief system. He doesn't change, even when ascending to godhood. He's still Bender, boozing, stealing, scheming, and hoarding everything he can fit in his chest cavity. If you thought Bender limited himself to basic theft, you're underestimating the robot. Because beyond robbing banks and looting safes, Bender is a master of fraud, scams, cons, forgeries, and insurance manipulation. He's not just a thief. He's a multifunctional booze-fueled economic virus infecting every system he touches. Episode: A Pharaoh to Remember. Faking his own death for money and glory. When Bender realizes no one will remember him after he dies, he doesn't sulk. He fakes his own death, throws himself a massive funeral, and embezzles money to fund the whole thing. He forces Fry and Leela to rent a temple, hire clergy, and commission a giant statue of himself. Who pays for it all? Fry, Leela, and a suspicious dupe government grant that Bender just made up and probably stole. Total cost of this narcissistic death fantasy? Around $150,000, most of which went into pointless marble, lasers, and fireworks. And all of it just so he could hear people talk about him. Episode: The Honking. Insurance fraud against himself. In this episode, Bender turns into a werecar and starts running over other robots. But before that, he takes out an insurance policy against himself, then files a claim pretending to be the victim. Yes, Bender literally fakes an accident, damages his own parts, and then submits a fraudulent report under a fake name. That's second-degree fraud, with robot-assisted signature forgery, casinos, gambling, and card cheats. If there's a poker table and a bottle of booze nearby, Bender's already at it. He loves casinos, especially if he can cheat, bet other people's money, and escape with the winnings before anyone notices. Some of his documented stunts: rigged a Mars casino using magnets hidden in the deck, beat the robot mafia with counterfeit chips, and then lost everything, including Fry's pants. Resold stolen chips back to the same casino, pretending to be a tax inspector. Identity theft? Don't even try to count. Bender has impersonated a monk, a professor, a galactic fine dining waiter, just to raid the pantry, a robot escort. Yes, don't think too hard about that episode. In each case, he collected money under false pretenses, either for services he didn't provide or botched entirely. Lie, collect, vanish. That's the Bender business model. Total damage over $1 million in fraud alone. Let's crunch the numbers. Fake funeral for glory, $150,000. Insurance scam, approximately $75,000. Casino tricks and scams, approximately $250,000. Impersonation earnings, approximately $500,000, which means that just from con jobs and cons, Bender has swindled the Futurama universe out of over $1 million. After 7 parts of theft, scams, fraud, and cosmic heists, it's time to do what Bender himself would never bother with: run the numbers. Because his criminal career isn't just greedy, it's a titanium-plated economic disaster. Let's count how much money he's actually stolen across the entire series. Petty, day-to-day theft, approximately $3 million. Throughout the show, Bender pickpockets random people, steals from the Planet Express crew, hacks vending machines, resells stolen goods, dismantles robots for scrap. Every episode features at least a few crimes. When you add up all that routine damage over the years, it totals over $3 million. Major heists and loot jobs, approximately $5 million. This includes the Titanium Vault robbery, looting alien ruins, smuggling illegal cargo, selling entire stolen planets. Yes, that happened. Stealing art from the future Louvre. These show Bender's not just a pickpocket, he's a full-scale galactic thief. Each of these jobs easily raked in hundreds of thousands, sometimes millions. Fraud, scams, and identity theft, approximately $1 million. As covered in Part 7, Bender faked insurance claims, stole fake government grants, cheated at casinos, impersonated people for profit. If he were human, The IRS would have launched an orbital strike on his apartment. God-level theft. $10 million plus. Whenever Bender becomes a god, or just acts like one, his crimes go cosmic. Taxing microscopic civilizations, demanding offerings, robbing religious institutions, trying to siphon power from a galactic god. This isn't just stealing, it's existential level greed. We're being conservative by estimating it at $10 million, but the real damage could be far worse. Grand total, approximately $19 million. Yep, $19 million, minimum. And that's just the stuff we can measure from screen time. If anyone tried to sue him, you'd need a judge from a black hole and 3 lawyers with laser immunity.